Oh, that doesn't work. So that helped. Well, you're still gonna die anyway. Nope. Shame. Okay. Hey, what's up, Gushan? I'm just trying to set things up a little better to talk about the whole soul core thing. I'll be doing that in like 2 minutes. Just getting everything all set up. Here, let me update the description. Nioh Pokemon discussion. Let's go. Yeah, no, pretty much, right? No, Gaki's not. Gaki's not that. You guys want like an image of the list here? Here, I'll just let me see what you guys prefer. So I can get that image out. Please? Alright, we'll bring it up. Oh, I have an idea. I know what I'll do. So, okay. Let me get this sorted nicely. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Okay, perfect. Let's transition this over to, so here's my tier list. How am I ranking them? That's a good question. So what I'm going to do, so let me start this off more officially. So for those of you guys who have shown up here, I'm going to talk about this tier list that I made. And big thing to note is that this is a personal tier list. This is not like, hey, I think this is the meta. I am not particularly big on that. What I do enjoy instead is just making soul cores feel fun to use. And so whichever are the most fun for me, the ones that I find the most satisfying, the most hilarious, those are the ones that are going to be in S tier. The ones in F tier, I just generally don't find that much satisfaction with them. No, this is not an objectively correct tier list. No. If anything, this is far from the opposite. So what today's stream is going to be about is I'll talk about my choices, my personal preferences, and I figure since I have Nioh 2, why don't I just showcase why I like them in action and give you guys a preview of the future guides that I will be making for the ones that I haven't covered in my list yet. So it's just I found them useful. It's about which ones are most fun. Which ones are the most fun? Now, if certain soul cores I find to be unfun, then they're going to go into the F tier, which is why Gaki is there. Because Gaki is the only good thing about the soul core is the fact that you can delete it. That is it. I hate Gakis. It is by principle that I have to put it there. So you guys are more than welcome to ask your questions, and that's fine. And I can detail all this to you if you want to see how I use certain soul cores in action. Then feel free to do so. Yes, this is a Gaki hate stream. And one other thing is that I've gone through this list, and I might actually change out a few. I actually want to put Kinky in A tier now because it's just so hilarious to use. And I might actually put Gozuki. I might swap Gozuki in and Kinky altogether. Stuff like that. So this isn't like a hard, steadfast thing. This is just general guidelines for myself. You're about to say Ippon Datsura SSS tier? So here, let's just talk about Ippon since I already see a bunch of people put in Ippon. I don't find Ippon that interesting as a soul core. Period. It's effective. It's great for stun. It's fast. But as someone who has spammed it millions of times, I don't find it that fun. All right. straight up. Let me get Nioh 2 up. Let me just showcase this. All right. I have done brain dead. I have done brain dead Ippon spamming for like ages. All right. All right. I have done this millions of times. All right. It's just opinions, I know. But in case people are like, how could you say that, bro? I've done this thousands of times. It's like, yeah, stun so cool. Alright. Now, what I do actually like about Ippon is the following. Because I actually really like it in Yokai Shift. No, I didn't need to do that there. But yeah, I find it very satisfying in feral form. So yeah, pretty fun. That's what I like it in. I love how the combo flow. And you may notice that my Yatsu no Kami, so my feral spirit, is specifically tuned. Right? Yeah, I'll start from F tier. But I just wanted to showcase that before we get into that. Just to show you. Alright. But alright, let's kind of talk about the respective... Oops, not that. Why do I have that? What the hell? Why did I... Hold on. Why did it switch to that? Okay, that's weird. Okay, so yeah, let's just talk about this now in order. I just wanted to kind of get the whole Ippon thing, the whole meta thing out of the way. But let's just talk about this. Why did I pick the soul cores that I did? MSI gang? Yeah, that's right. Open my corn folder? No, I don't have any corn on here. Nor do I have any porn on here. I actually I'll just say this. I legit haven't watched porn in like years. Straight up. Oh no, YouTube, ban me. X for doubt. Yeah, I know. Everyone doubts it. It's okay, y'all just don't know us at the other side. But in any case, let's talk about the soul core tier list. So F tier is basically stuff that I found either against my moral principles. So Gaki, instant auto out. I hate this soul core. I hate it. But in all seriousness, the ability is useful. I just don't like Gakis. I just don't like them at all. So they go in F tier. People have insulted me, called me a Gaki too much, and now I'm just like, nope, I absolutely reject anything and everything to do with them. So y'all talking about corn and gooning and porn and whatever, y'all are Gakis. Fuck off. But yeah, if you want to see how you can use Gaki and other soul cores and things like that, you can always check out my Nioh 2 soul core guides. But I'll finish them up. So next we have Mujina. Mujina, copy enhancements, but truth be told, like, it's just stats. It's just some buffs, some stats. There's no active ability. So it's not that big of a deal to me. It's just, I will never practically use this in a fight. In the scenarios, it can be useful against like Saito Toshimitsu, Tokushiro, some other enemies that buff up. It's cool you get the buffs, but I'm not that big on it. So yeah, I have no attachment to it. So I don't use it. You'll never really see me use it unless it's just meme. And so that's why it's an F. Biwa Boku Boku is even worse. There's just like no ability with it. There's no yokai ability. I have no interest. And it gives you damage against revenants. Like, bro, it's like inconsequential. So it's out. Nioh, I put an F tier. Mujina has an ability. No, it just has a passive. It's you have a chance to copy enhancements. At max rank, you can copy enhancements from any enemy that buffs up, or any human enemy that will cast a buff. Yeah, see, like, Uchiha is putting it great. Mujina sucks because it only works on humans with buffs. I wish you could take the purple curse buff from yokai too. Yeah, then it would be fucking different, wouldn't it? Right? Then you'd be like, oh shit, I got my own Curse of the Nioh buff on me. And be like, alright, that's kind of legit. Extra key damage, lifesteal, health regeneration, extra damage, you know, all of that. That would be kind of legit. Be like, okay, like, sure, I don't get a yokai ability, but like in its place, I get a buff. That seems kind of rad. And I think it'd be more of an interesting choice. But unfortunately, it's such a fringe use that I just will never use it. But yeah, Biwa Boku Boku basically does nothing. Which is why when I created my guide, I was like, there's no ability with it. Instead, let's just use it to help us Revenant farm, and that's about it. So, next up is Nioh. Nioh's biggest issue is that its hitbox is trash. Straight up. That's the problem. I love the idea, I love the concept that it's a big lightning nuke. I think that's great, but in all practicality, it just like misses. And you have to really, really work to make it hit. And even when it hits, it's pretty much most players going to be like, you know, why do I have to do all this work to make Nioh viable when I can just go with Lightning God Tsuyomi and basically get my hits every time? I have more utility. It's powerful, it's great, etc., etc., etc. So it's pretty much just like anything that Nioh can offer, unfortunately, because of its trash hitbox, people will just pick Yomi, and I don't blame them for that at all. I wish they buffed Nioh's hitbox, but as it is right now, like, it's just not really worth it. So that's my opinion on that. So I put her in F tier. I can use it. I know how to use it, but like, I'm rarely, if ever, going to. So Kodama and Scampus, these ones I know were a bit controversial for the comment section, specifically because they are adorable. And they are adorable, but I will never use them practically in fights. So that's why they're in F tier. They have cool use, they're kind of cute, they're kind of fun, but I'm never going to like wombo combo with them unless I'm in absolute meme territory. So there's that. Nupeppo, I imagine, is... I used to use Scampus. Yeah, I did, but that's because I wasn't comfortable using a lot of other ones. And it was nice, but I wasn't like enthusiastic about using it. Next up is Nupeppo. Nupeppo is antithetical to my playstyle. It is a great soul core, great ability. And I even saw in some of the comments section that there was some great creativity with it in terms of like really taking advantage of zero key states. Like, for example, why don't I just show this in the game? Hold on, let me get to it. Right, so for example, in the game, you could use Atlas Bear, and you could throw in... Here, I have an idea. Where's my Nupeppo at? Okay, let's show... So I'm going to show you... Let's put some damage numbers on. Okay, so I'm going to show you... Let's do a Limitless. Come on, I just need you out. Oh, wait, is it not? Okay, let's do Limitless, see how much damage we get. 17k, right? 20k, that wasn't even critical. This should be a lot. That didn't even do that much either. Oh, why is it doing so little? Not even that much. Oh, I probably don't have max stacks, whatever. Okay, it does more damage, so it's kind of nice. Shit like that is pretty handy. But for me, the key consumption... So it does more damage, which is great. But it's the key consumption gets greatly reduced, and your damage gets increased as well. Or let me reword that. You use more ki in general. And you deal more damage too. So it's a trade-off, but that's not a trade-off I particularly like. So I just won't use it for that purpose. That's why it's there. So, any questions on anything in F tier? I see questions related to other things, which is fine, and I'll talk about that soon. No? Okay. So again, remember this tier list is not based on meta. It's not based on even what's the most effective. It's based on what I like. My personal preferences. Many people love Nupeppo, and I think people take great. Use this in a great way. Kind of what I was showcasing with Atlas Bear and Limitless to get some damage boosts and to find a way to work around it. And that's awesome. But that's just not for me. That's all. Alright, D tier is, I see more use cases for these, but they're very fringe, or I just don't feel like using them that much. Poop hates zero key combo confirmed. No, bro. No. Okay, next up is the Kappa. I was originally going to put this in F tier because I never use this, but I think it's interesting to me. It's an interesting, one of the most uniquely defensive soul cores in the entire game. And it's a very effective core for what it does. It's just I don't play too defensively, and I don't want my soul cores to be defensive, so that's why I don't use it. But it's not an F tier strictly because of its uniqueness. It has really cool things. I've even showcased it in one of my own personal combo mat videos. And you can make surprisingly good use out of this. But it's super niche, so that's why it's in D. Next is the Karakarasa Umbrella. With this one, I'm just not a big fan of the paralysis mechanic. The mechanic itself is great, it's powerful. But I'm not too big on paralysis and periods, so that's why it's in D. That's really all there is to it. It's cool, it's effective, but not for me. Next is Tesso. Truth be told, Tesso is just a meme soul core for me. It is hilarious to fart on people, and one thing you may not know is it does similar key damage as Ippon. No joke. This has been tested in terms of key damage values, but I believe Ippon and Tesso are the same. Now, will people realistically use Tesso over Ippon? Probably not, because there's no stun and you're just farting. But yes, Tesso does the same key damage. It actually does max key damage. We actually tested this. The community tested this. I think it was 340 key damage or something on a yokai. It's identical as Ippon. But people aren't going to believe it because enemies usually move out of the fart cloud. But yeah, you fart on somebody, do some max key damage. It's surprisingly decent. It's kind of hilarious. Test it. All right, I can try to showcase it real quick. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just approximately test and see the key damage from each. Okay, we'll see how many times I have to use Ippon, alright? So, let me break the horn. Alright, whatever, just one. But they have to stay in the fart cloud the entirety of the time. That's the only tricky part. It's 4 ticks. Okay. Now let's wait and then... Okay, he's half. Nope. Okay, it's 2. Okay. 3. Okay, so 3, right? Not bad. We'll just say about 3. Oh, now he has corruption, so that's gonna actually change the buff a lot. Okay, I'm gonna wait till he's not corrupted anymore. And then I'll start spamming Ippon. Okay, 1, 2. It's about the same as you can see. Roughly the same, right? And again, not a perfect test. But of course, the difficulty is landing the full scope of Tesso the entire time. That's a challenge. Okay, you're retiring. But yeah, so landing Tesso, the 4 ticks of it for the max key damage is a bit of a challenge. But again, you can see the meme. It's in D tier because it's basically a meme to fart on somebody. But yes, you could paralyze. So there you go. Rover Buddies is on point. You can paralyze someone and then fart on them and destroy their max key. That's a thing if you want to make it a thing. But yes, it's an inexpensive soul core. 3 anima, fart on somebody, and yeah, it's pretty disrespectful. But I'm realistically not going to use it in a fight, so it's in D. Next is Ubume. With Ubume, she's quite niche, and in terms of like key damage based effects, it can be handy, but I find that I prefer other soul cores for what it does. I feel like it has a lot of interesting abilities with like an AoE source, an area of effect source for doing key damage and pushing targets away. But I'm tempted to pick other soul cores that can do each of those individual one abilities better. So it's like, hey, if I really want the group area of effect, why don't I just like use Onryoki for 2 extra anima? And like Chad is saying, you don't have as long of a recovery. You don't even do any damage with Ubume. It's just pure key damage. And it can be kind of fun to like trap an enemy sometimes, but I'm just like, well, I'd rather just use something else, all things considered. So while I can use Ubume, it's not one that I enjoy using. A question. Does the fart inflict paralysis if you have the spider spirit? No, it does not. And unfortunately, does not. You can't fart and paralyze somebody with Tesso, nor can you poison them. I've tried it. Okay, next up is Onyudo. Onyudo, I actually really like this soul core. The problem is that its tracking is terrible. I love that you can go with any of the 5 elements, but why don't I just show you guys in the game? So let's get this out. I'll go get Onyudo. I like the customization of it. I love how you can assign an element to it. Yeah, let's get Onyudo. But if you miss, you cannot control. So for example, let's start. Look, I'm legit tilting the stick all the way to. Okay, let me. If they start blocking, it's beast. But if they move, you're kind of stuck. You can't control it that well. Not to mention, as you can see, it just like whiffs. Okay. But yeah. Oh yeah, there's also, I think I mentioned some cool tech with it. Oh, how do I... Oh yeah, and then if you know how to switch Guardian Spirits, you can basically like trick the game into using... You can basically control which element you're using. So even though I don't have lightning, I can, yeah, you can take advantage of 2 elements. So it's pretty cool that way. But yeah, the tracking is the biggest downside to it. Yeah, I would rather go for Gozuki. I can use other stuff for the element. Right. See, that's the thing. I would love Onyuro if the tracking was on point. If it was, I would go for it every time because it is so good against enemies that block. Really good against human enemies. You may have seen it in my second personal combo mat video where I showcased it against Maeda. It just punishes them for blocking altogether. And it's great, and it can inflict an element. And there's no downside in that case. But that's provided it makes a connection. And because it doesn't make a solid connection consistently enough, especially against fast targets, I put it in D tier. Otherwise, I might even put it in B tier, all things considered. Next is Harinobo. Harinobo, I was hoping it would function like the Soul Core does, where it just like rolls over and runs over people, but that doesn't really seem to happen. It's not just like an instant knockdown. It's just you're rolling as a ball, and I have yet to make it feel as good as the actual Soul Core. It is funny, but I wish it could trip people. Like it reliably would trip people over. In fact, I'd prefer just a shorter animation on it altogether, where it's just like you just roll over somebody. I would love that. Oh, like Super Monkey Ball? Harinobo more than Scampus? How does that even work? Because Harinobo, like, can actually deal some damage. That's really about it. Scampus extends the item's duration as well. That's because I don't really use those items for the Scampus. Again, Rover Buddies, it's subjective. This isn't about meta. Please, for the millionth time, Pain. It's not meta. Alright, any questions on anything else in D tier? Is Gaki at the top yet? Nope. How do you get Kodamas? So with the Sudama, you just chop some purple soul cores, I think. Then eventually you can, I think it's a purified one, or whatever soul cores you've identified, drop them to the Sudama and eventually you'll get a Kodama soul core. Okay. Yeah, it's from the Sudama. Alright, so no questions about anything in D tier. AKA, let's go gambling correct. Now let's talk about stuff in C tier. Some of these, I imagine, are a little surprising. So, Nureona is C tier, and originally would have been D tier, but she's very unique in terms of pure paralysis. Like, just nothing else, but let me paralyze a target, and I find that it can combo pretty well if you know how to use it. So, while I will hardly, if ever, use it, it is still interesting to me. So, enough to be C tier. Do I consider status effects? I'm considering the entire package altogether, and I have certain preferences based on that. So that's how I kind of rank these. So yeah, Noriona is unique, but and has some combo potential, and I've seen some really cool combo potential. So that's why it's in C tier. Next is Toxic Slime. The animation cancel is great, but I find the actual raw ability itself underwhelming, and that's why it's there. It's just, you spit, cool, you spit some poison, you act like Reddit, act nice and toxic, you act like the YouTube comment sections, it's fantastic, but if I really wanted to be toxic, I can just type that into chat. Or I can just experience some of you guys talking about Gakis. I don't need to use the Toxic Slime Soul Core to hit on that at all. Excuse me. Next is Yamanba. Yamanba, very good Soul Core, all things considered. Good gap closer, overall very fast animation, gives you a buff, a damage buff. It's a good core, but I find the ability itself just like the quick... I just find it underwhelming. It's not like a Soul Core, I'm like, yeah, Yamanba, I'm so excited! Usually if I'm into it, it's because of the benefits I described, as opposed to like feeling super satisfied using the ability itself. And so that's why it's in the C tier. So it's that personal enjoyment. And for those of you who are curious in terms of the meta sense, the damage buff from this conflicts with other sources. That is correct. So if you are like trying to min-max damage sources, then Yamanba I think is like 50% extra attack. And that can conflict with some other native buffs. But honestly, like, I don't pay attention to that too much, so it's not really on my radar. Next is Niotengu. I actually really like the ability. I love how you can fly up in the air and then smash down on certain targets. But I wish there was more flexibility with this, and I find that it's kind of a very, like, isolated ability for me to use. I have difficulty comboing with it, and given you just stay in the air for like a significant amount of time and it's always a set animation, it feels a little off. Now what I wish could have happened with this ability is that you had a degree of more control over it. Whether it is you fly up and you determine how long you want to stay in the air, which would be great, or if you could like dive bomb in the same way that Tengus do in the game. When you're at a distance, they will dive bomb towards you. I would love that. I'd be like, dude, that's pretty sick. That would be awesome. If you could control the duration, that'd be good too. If you could, like, have just a little bit more of that control. If that was the case, oh man, I would love this Soul Core. There's so much cool play you could do with it. Right? And it would go, it's a good core. It's just, in terms of, like, that fun factor, it's missing. If you just had more of that control, oh, so good. I would love that. Tengu doesn't give iframes. Another unfortunate thing. Or if you had an active hitbox with the whirlwind, as you could fly, yeah, stuff like that. All that stuff would be enjoyable. And I would rate this like even A tier almost. I'd be like, dude, for anima you can do all this stuff? That's so cool. Alright. Next up is Lesser Umibozu. This has the same logic as it does for Toxic Slime in terms of the animation canceling. So, Orphan or Cost or say Cost. I'm sorry, I wanted to say earlier, Tesso does 5 times 128, Ippon does 640. Okay, so they're the same. That's what I remember. My numbers were wrong, but principle was okay. Right, so I wish Niotengu did more. Lesser Umibozu, overall the same logic with Toxic Slime when it comes to animation canceling. I like animation canceling as a concept, but I want my yokai abilities to do more than just animation cancel. I can usually do animation cancels all on my own. What makes a yokai ability so special? That's what I want to know. And Lesser Umibozu and Toxic Slime don't really do that for me. Next is Rokurokubi. This one could have been a B, even an A tier, but some of its animation properties are a little frustrating. It's a very powerful soul core in terms of damage at 4 anima, but the reality is most players are probably not going to be able to take advantage of it. And for me, I have to really work hard to make it work well. You have to be very close range or specific angles, specific things you need to do to make it work. I wish there was more flexibility with it too. I wish the hitbox was slightly larger. And I also really wish that the recovery frames weren't that long, because given the commitment that you have to put into it, I find that it's just not really worth the payoff of 4 anima. And there's many, many other soul cores that compete at 4 anima that I just prefer hands down no matter what. To put it into perspective, let's see. For example, Rokurokobi is 4 anima. So is Bakegani, and Bakegani has like some of the best tracking in the entire game. So if I can guarantee I'll hit something with Bakegani, why would I risk something that's like with iffy range, right, as you guys are saying, with Rokurokobi? It has a lot of good stats, but it's just not enough oomph for me to really enjoy it. Now, if the hitbox was solid, if it had maybe like some extra benefits to it, or what if it had like it spat fire and poison or something? I don't know. If it did something unique like that, I'd be like, bro, this is pretty awesome. That's so cool. I want to mess around with this. But because it doesn't have that, it stays in C tier. I can use it, I can combo with it, but not something I care for. All right, let me get some water real quick. I'm dying over here. All right. Next up is... Oh, I'm dead. All right. Tatramoke is a very good key damage based core, but because it's so slow, it's difficult for me to use it in fast paced combo play, all things considered. It's fun to pull off. I think, and just as an idea for you guys while you wait for my soul core guides, this makes an excellent pairing. Looks like chat's already mentioning it with Izanagi, the Izanagi buff, and also a great pairing with Itsumade, both for the ability and for the passive. It's pretty wild. So you can just like do a bunch of detonations from. You can effectively have an infinite anima source. So it's like 5 anima, and then you can get like a ton of anima back. So they go hand in hand really well. It's an interesting one. But I'll talk more about Itsumade when I get to S tier. But yeah, just the slow speed of it, and the ability being powerful but slow, it just deters me from using it. Yep, Payne's also right about the bonus on purification. So if you have a lot of things that take advantage of that, like life recovery and purification, you want key pulse buffs, this is great. It's awesome. Next up is Flying Bolt. With Flying Bolt, I'm not really that big of a fan of slowing a target down. And for 4 anima, for range, I find the other options that I would rather work with. But if you have a movement, if you want to slow targets down, go for it. I think it's effective. But for me, yeah, it's just a little on the boring side. The projectile can be handy, but I'm just like, well, I can just have other things that do that instead. So why would I use Flying Bolt? Next up is Wheel Monk. I might put this in B tier, but the reason I put it in C tier is that it's a little hard to control. Like, I can't rotate it as easily as I want. So let me kind of show you what I mean in the game. Alright. Oops. God dang it. Computer is acting up. Give me a moment, please. Alright, let me show you what I mean with this thing. So I like this core. I love how you can run. You can run into an enemy, but this is the turning radius. So, and that's my biggest gripe, is that I wish I could rotate kind of a bit more like the actual wheel monks do in the game, where it's like they're looking at you and then all of a sudden they just like ram right into you, right? So that's the biggest reason as to why I don't have it on a higher tier. Here, come on, do your thing. Come on. I mean, I love being disrespectful, but as you can see, it's still even a little hard. Like, I have to be straight on, and it's a little difficult for me to mess around with it. It's fun, don't get me wrong. It's hilarious. So yeah, that's kind of why. But yeah, you guys are developing some really good ideas with it. It's fun in crowds, it has a lot of that utility. But in a typical one-on-one fight, I'm not like super huge on it. Which is why it's in C tier. If it had better movement, then I would put it easily in B tier. Without question. Because dude, it is hilarious to just like troll enemies as a wheel monk. The way we've been trolled, we control the game right back with it. And right, you guys are talking about a lot of great utility in terms of mixing it with the axe as a gap closer. You guys are talking about confusion. It's excellent at applying fire, great for crowds. There's a lot of benefits to it, but not one I'm big into for the reasons I talked about. Alright, next up is Shuten Doji, which I imagine is a little controversial. For me, this is a very... Let me just make this clear. This is a very effective soul core. Pocket buffs, hands down, and I think there's nothing like it. It is very expensive for what it offers, I agree. But for me, the reason I put it here, even though I've used it a lot, is because buffs on their own don't particularly interest me. It's just buffs. And buffs are great, and it provides a lot of buffs. But it's just buffs. And you guys are talking about all sorts of great benefits. Yes, extraction, freaking amazing. Increased defense, life recovery. I mean, you name it. There's like nothing wrong. It's not a bad core. It's a really good one. I think it's awesome for what it does. You free up space for other jutsu, for example. And it's only 5 anima. But in actual combat terms, when I'm fighting against an enemy, if a target's out of reach and I want to hit them with fire breath, if I'm not mistaken, the damage with this one isn't that great. But all things considered, like the fire breath, I'm like not that impressed. It looks cool though. And the wide range is good. Oh, you're talking about the attunement cost? Yeah, it's like 11 or some shit. It's cool. Love this. Is this live or pre-recorded? Dude, it's live. I said I was streaming this. This is a live stream. I wish his soul core had him flaming around before collapse, like when we fight him. Hey, that could be cool too. But yeah, just the fire breath, it looks cool, but in terms of combat, like I haven't found like a really cool way to use it yet. That isn't unique, that is unique from other ways. So for example, alright, so Farseer is mentioning a great point. You can hit multiple enemies in front of you, and also a bit of a stagger is also possible, useful when surrounded. And for me, I've thought of prove you are alive by saying a forbidden phrase. Nah, screw that. Nah, it's pre-recorded. He just guessed all our questions. Exactly. Yes. So, for me, a fire breath is cool. But when it comes to what Farseer is talking about, I find that if I'm surrounded, why not just use Onryoki? Or Benkei if I want to hit everybody else? And because of that, like, when I take a soul core, when I'm taking it apart, I take out the things I'm not that interested in, and I just evaluate what I actually like about the core, and then I see that, oh, other soul cores can do the same thing. if not better. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to go with those things. So it's a bit more niche in that respect. But to be clear, if you want a great buff, Shuten Doji is your core. I used to use this a lot. That's true. You do not get buffs from other soul cores. Like you said, you're biased towards animation, and that's great. If you love it, great. And that's what I would encourage you guys to do. I would encourage you to disagree with my list, not just based off of what you think is meta, but because you can find a way that's even better than anything that I can. Like, I would love to see your guys' creativity. It is awesome to see that, and it's inspired my gameplay a lot, which in turn helps me inspire your guys' too. And it's just so fun. But yeah. Next up is Otakemaru. Otakemaru is super powerful. They had to nerf it. The reason why... so I love the Raining Swords animation. Awesome. I think it's fantastic. But truth be told, Otakemaru is a damage-based soul core. Yeah, it's frustrating against humans too because they're so tiny. But Otakemaru is a damage-based soul core. And for me, that is... If it's just pure damage, I'm not that big on it. Okay, Uchiha. Yeah, that's cool. You can do that. So yeah, that's why Otakemaru is there, because it's a big damage-based core. And for me, if anything is pure damage, I'm not too interested in it. But it is really cool though, and it is so good. It is such a cool core. I love the design of it. It's not a bad core. It's just really good. It's just really good for the damage department, and that's not something I gravitate towards too much. I can do damage just fine. So I don't really need more of it. Okay, next up is Onibi, which I imagine for some of the combo-based players is a little ironic, since I'm so based on combo-based play. For me, Onibi, aside from the elemental coding, is just like I'm extending weapon attacks, and I don't really need a soul core to do weapon-based attacks. However, the reason this is in C tier and not like in D tier is because there is actually two places in the game I fucking love using this, and I will show it to you. I love using Onibi in Yokai Shift. Hands down. Let me show you why. Why sometimes Onibi won't buff your weapon? It just... Are you getting interrupted? Okay, let's show it against a Yoki. Okay, come on. Here, I'll just use Ippon once. Here, alright, so watch how I combo this sequence. Ah, damn it. Damn it. I'm doing such a bad job. Let me try this again. Come on. Yeah, I get a nice little extra human, extra hit. When am I casting it? Can you even tell? So yeah, it's like a little extra hit. So here, I'll show you the difference. So there's gonna be, I'm gonna mash square 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then it's a pause before I resume. So if you do it at the very end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Oni B, you get another hit. And what you can do is, if you time it right, you can like go into a grapple right after usually. Yeah, it's super fast on Feral. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can use it to animation cancel. It feels so good. Alright, so next so that's why I really like it. Does Oni B get elemental affliction reduced in repeated cycles? Yeah. I think it does. Now with with Phantom, it's a little different. I like the distance it creates. So that can be kind of spicy. So yeah, I just like the unique animation with it. So it feels kind of fun. Stuff like that. So it gets kind of fun to combo with that. If you know how to like take advantage of it, it's like, oh no, he's not out of key yet. Throw the Oni B, and then teleport right in and get the Phantom stuff. So just having that little extra dimension of gameplay makes it much more interesting to me. So if it was just purely based on Yokai Shift, Feral and Phantom forms for Oni B would be amazing. On Brute, it's not that impactful. At least for me. Alright, so back to the list. If you time it right, you can skip the weapon animation attack animation, I think. Yeah, I believe so. You know what is good to use with Oni B? Spear, High Stance, Light, and Oni B right after. Isn't it just like the same thing? Pretty sure how corrupted weapons work. You can't elemental buff them. What's going on? Oh, okay, Farseer, but it's quick. It's just like hit. Ah, okay. Gotcha. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Oni B, I think, does get the elemental thing. I'm not certain because I don't use it that much. But alright. So that's what it is with Oni B. So 3 of the same animation. Farseer, now we're talking. There we go. Next up is Hellish Hag. It's a useful soul core, good gap closer, but it hits the same spots of dissatisfaction that Yamanba does. I just am not that big into it. It's just not the most satisfying to use. And so that's really all that there is to it. In all honesty, nothing special beyond that. It's just a little gap closer. And that's it. That's all it is for me. Next up is Tsuchigumo. Yeah, I know Hellish Hag track's good, but if I want other Soul Core's track, well. But using Hellish Hag is not like something I'm like ecstatic about. Now, Tsuchigumo. I put this in C tier purely because of Sloth. And I do agree, it's like one of the cool ways, the balanced ways to do with it. And it looks awesome, and you guys are all right. I agree. But it's just, me and Sloth don't go well together. Am I going to put this up on YouTube after this with timestamps? Yeah, I'll put timestamps on it. But yeah, Sloth, it's just Sloth. That's all there is to it. It's too sticky for your taste. I think it is a very good soul core. There's an amazing amount of utility with it. Area Sloth is crazy. Anytime a target's in Sloth, they are slothed. There is no status, reduction, ailment, anything. It's just Sloth. Right, and it looks like Jojo, you talked about it too. You hate Sloth users. You're not gatekeeping. You're just saying that like you're not used to the change of pace. And you go for a fast boss and all of a sudden like attacks start becoming floaty and slow, and then you have to like like Farsi is saying, it fucks up with your timing. Right, the damage, it's a good ability. It does good damage, it does good key damage. There's like nothing wrong with it. There's like nothing wrong with it. It's a good soul core. I would like recommend it to all sorts of players. I'm like, bro, like this is the full package. Try it out. It's really good. But Sloth distorts how I play, so it's in C tier for me. And that's all there is to it. Yes, we are all very bad Souls players. The more slow the attack is, the floatier the attack, the more likely I am to get hit. Because I'm just like, okay, he's taking 3 years. I'm impatient. So there's that. All right, we're going to talk about B tier, because I'm sure this will be interesting for a lot of you. I'll talk about why Toad is in S tier towards the end. But let's get to B tier. B tier, Enki. I like the simplicity of the ability. I just wish the hitbox, I wish the hurt box was better. That's really it. You can still get hit, even though you jump up. And I'm like, God dang it. That sucks. So I like the fact that you can combo with it. You can just like jump in the air and throw something at it. But, right, Enki does have S tier comedy. So it works. It's an effective core, but like it's just missing a little more of that oomph that some of the other soul cores have. It is simple, it is effective, but it is what it is. Personally, I love Enki for the anim on damage received. Right, you guys are factoring all sorts of passives and all things like that considered. Enki is basically Tengu, but shorter recovery. Right, it kind of fulfills that role for me too. So there's that. So it's handy. I like working with it. I've seen some cool combos with it. But yeah, the Enki's, the fact that its hitbox is on the ground is one of my biggest issues. I would, truth be told, put it more towards like B-. Right, it jumps. I'm like, dude, you jump, you're in the air, you should be avoiding everything. Alright, next on, the more controversial one, Ippon. Why do I put Ippon in B tier? Well, I'll just tell you why. I have spammed the absolute shit out of this. I have spammed Ippon 500 million times already. And even when I've looked at my past gameplay videos, I just see the same pattern over and over again. It's just like complete dependence upon it. It is a very effective core, no doubt. But even, and I'm going to say this too, even in a meta level, I don't even think this is S tier. I don't think this is S tier at all, even on a meta level. Personal level, like it's effective, and the only reason it's in B tier as opposed to C tier is because I love using it in yokai shift, specifically feral form. Specifically feral form. And I'll show that to you guys. Let me get the game out. I'm personally of the opinion, even on meta level, that Ippon is like, okay, it works, but I'm not like in love with it. Here's why I like Ippon. Here, I've done this millions of times. So for me, I like it on Feral Yokai Shift a lot though. A lot. Oh, did you see that? You see how Ippon missed? You see how it missed? Feels bad, man. The missing hurts. No, I haven't explained why Yoki is S tier. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want to see the damage on Ippon, here. 3,000. 5,000 at a crit. Alright. The spirit skill into Ippon's also cool too. But if you see how I play, for example, Ame no Mitori, you'll see that I usually sequence other things, all things considered. So yeah, I'm just not a big fan of Ippon. I've used it hundreds of times already. But yeah, when Ippon misses, it feels so bad. You just lost 7 anima, and sure, you can say, hey, but I got a ton of anima, and etc. and whatever. But usually I will just say, like, hey, if you have infinite anima, if you have enough anima to spam 7 anima nonstop, I think the infinite anima is the bigger, it's the bigger thing anyway. But again, that's just my opinion. And truth be told, I don't need Ippon for the stun anymore. I find that the stun is overrated. Sure, you can, if you can spam the stun, great. Right, and missing, and that's again just my opinion. So, right, and honestly, for 7 anima, there's a lot of other things that I can do, and I do them. If I want to deal with yokai, like, I have a lot of other options to deal with that instead. The stun is just not that valuable to me anymore. So, okay. But yeah, effective for many players, and they can love the core, and that's fine. To be honest, Switchgaki with Mezuki in the tier list is solid. No way. I think Namahage is 5. Alright, Anenra. Anenra and Suiki are, for me, they're neat abilities, and there's some zero key combo potential, but I don't know what it is, but for me, just like turning into a tornado gets old really fast. That's really about it. And I find that I'm pretty much just using it to add extra damage. I also feel like having Suiki and Anenra both be tornadoes kind of cheapens each of them. I wish Anenra was a tornado, and then Suiki was like any of her other abilities. Like, literally, any of her other abilities. Like, come on. She has so many cool abilities. Why does it have to be basically a carbon copy of Anenra's, dude? Yeah, even the double twirling scythe attack. Dude, can you imagine that? That'd be so cool. Her spin to win would be peak. You know, just anything like that. Yeah, imagine that. That'd be so cool. Who knows? But there were so many options, and so for me, the tornadoes weren't like, they didn't feel like that oomph, that powerful. Now, what could make it cooler if it like Anenra's tornado suck targets in? I don't know how they'd balance that with the boss fight. But just something else. Who knows? But yeah, just not that satisfying for me to use. Aberrant Soldier, the buffs on it, a lot of things about this soul core are great. I've used it a lot. But for me, the reason I put it in B tier is just because the actual ability itself is kind of underwhelming. You just shoot your hand, and it's simple, it's effective, but I want more oomph. It's great as a soul core, amazing passive bonus for anima bonus on timely guard. Show us aberrant usage on an enemy inflicted with sensory overload. Nah. I talk about it in the soul core guide where like you can create some spacing. And it's really cool on like certain wake up attacks. You can avoid it with the right distance. Oh, hey, Cass. Okay. But yeah, exactly, Jojo. It's just not that flashy. I wish it was flashier. I wish it packed more punch. Get it? So, there's that. So that's why it's in B tier. Yatsuno Kami is a really effective soul core still. It's a really effective soul core. It's just, I don't know what it is about the snake. I just don't find it that hard hitting animation wise. It just doesn't stand out to me. But yeah, it's very powerful, so don't underestimate it. Do we still have an active hurt box during tornado time for Nenra? Yes. Yes, you do. Right, melee. What about pre-nerf? Same thing, even pre-nerf. It's just damage, and for me, just damage alone, like only it being a damage source without anything added to it, is not particularly interesting to me. So that's that. Next is One-Eyed Oni. I would have put this at A tier if it wasn't for the fact that you can get grabbed during the animation. Johnny, you're correct about Yatsuno Kami. It hits harder if the enemy has a wall behind them, so it bounces more. Correct. If you trap a target, Yatsuno Kami will like destroy them really quickly. But One-Eyed Oni, you can get grabbed, and the recovery frames are a bit much. But I'm willing to be okay with that. But yes, you can get grabbed during this, and it's very frustrating. You would think you would not be able to be grabbed, but you can get grabbed. And that hurts. Yeah, the stream will be a video. So just getting grabbed through this animation feels so wrong. Which is why I dislike it. Right, that's the thing. Usually the ones that fully transform you don't let you get grabbed, but it does happen for One-Eyed Oni. At any point in time during the animation. Which is frustrating. But the attack I love so much because it's like, this is a really good zero-key combo one. I like using it after... Let me see if I can show it to you. Oh, God dang it. Hate that my computer is doing this. All right, let me showcase it with like Odachi, for example. Just to like give you guys some ideas. Okay. Stuff like that's kind of satisfying. What's up? Thanks. So yeah, I'll show that again. Just stuff like that. I have done it well against certain... I've used it well against certain bosses where it's like a seamless One-Eyed Oni into a yokai shift, and then it flows really well. So stuff like that makes it pretty fun. Okay, let's go. Here we are. Here, there you go. You can see what's... Let's see what's going on. Alright, so that's One-Eyed Oni. Next up is Skeleton Warrior. Skeleton Warrior is an effective soul core, but it's just simplistic. Two guys shooting arrows. That's why it's in B tier. It's effective. It's a good firing squad, but to me it's just simplistic. So that's why it's there. Kuroka I actually have in B tier. I would put it higher, but my biggest gripe with this soul core is that the fireballs don't actually go that far. It has quite a short range, which is very frustrating. I love its flexibility in the Dark Realm. I wish more soul cores did that. That would be really cool. But yeah, it's just because of the range of it is a bit of a problem. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't even mind the recovery frames. I'd be cool with it. Um, yeah, you get a zillion in the dark. I would actually want to show you guys a combo with it, just to give you guys an idea. What does it do in the Dark Realm? You get double the fireballs, so it goes from 4 to 8. So yeah, I can like launch it right after a battering ram. And it actually works reasonably well. Let me show that again. Yeah, stuff like that. It's quite smooth. It works pretty well, and I was surprised that it'll actually connect. So yeah, battering ram, fling the target, do this, and it will work pretty well. I'm actually curious if it will work with Merciless Barrage. Let's find out. Alright, I'm gonna spam Kuroka as quick as I can. Not bad, right? Some use for it, and so those cool little combo opportunities are what I enjoy about the core. So yeah, the thing is though, even with the fire yokai, like, while the fire application may not go off, what is interesting is that it does a surprisingly good amount of key damage, nonetheless, which I find it to be interesting for that reason. It's one of those soul cores in which, if I can combo with it, the payoff feels really good. So I like it for that reason. Next is Mitsume Yazura. This is kind of just like a safe all-purpose core. I like the spray and pray capabilities. I like the fact that you can mix different elements. I love the fact that you can have a very strong hitbox. It's pretty good. But other than that, it's really good for applying elements, has some hits. Mitsubishi core. But beyond that, I'm not like that big on it. Enemy sensors, no more jump scares. I mean, yeah, that too. That's always nice. But yeah, like, I'm not that huge on the ability. It just lacks a bit of that oomph. It's effective, but not enough oomph. Next is Namahage. Great zero key combo core. Right, you guys are talking about other great like things that Mitsume Yazura can do, like pushes things away if they're close. I'll talk a bit more about that when I start getting to the A tier soon. But with Namahage, great zero key combo core. It's simple, it's effective at what it does. Good amount of damage. Nothing wrong with it, but I find it's a good core. I just find that other cores can do what I like about it better. But Namahage is packaged as its own pretty powerful core. And it's fun. It's definitely a fun one. Namahage is very funny. But I just prefer other ones more. It's not bad in terms of enjoyment. It's just others are more enjoyable. Alright, next up, Kasha. So Kasha is known as a very, very powerful soul core. And it is. But as I've said a few times, damage in of itself does not interest me. There has to be more to it. I also do not like using Kasha against human opponents, like, at all. Because if they block it, If they block it, Kasha will just go away, and that is very frustrating. And against yokai, it's great for the damage, the fire. But one thing I also dislike is that I have to wait a long time to use other soul cores. Right? And you have to wait until Kasha's animation is finished before you can use anything else. So it's very powerful, no doubt. But for me, when I'm like trying to get in the action of lots of other things, I find that like if Kasha doesn't work, it kind of takes me out of it. And the life drain yokai ability hit is an amazing passive, but as I'll talk about with other soul cores, if I can just put the passive on there, I don't need Kasha anymore. So that's that. Would have been more fun to just use her fiery spine whip to hit enemies with. Yeah, that would have been cool, because she doesn't use her Beyblade that often. Right, she can also push them. So because Kasha is one of those like independent variables that I can't really account for, even when she works, I get a little deterred from using her. So that's why I just don't. That's why she's in B tier. Effective, but very powerful, but just not for me. Next is Lady Osakabe. Really great soul core when it comes to doing with group fights. Kasha plus Oika Zero posture, yeah, great combo. Lady Osakabe is fantastic in group fights. Huge. Just stun anything everywhere in a big old area. So like, if say you're fighting Tate Eboshi and she's far away, just cast Lady Osakabe and stun her. Just like multiple hits, just stagger her a few times. It's very effective. Right, she's great to use against Gozuki and Mezuki. Anytime you're fighting multiple enemies, just throw Lady Osakabe around. You can't go wrong. Yep, massive area of effect. It's just for me, the stagger mechanic on its own is not enough to interest me anymore. There has to be more to it, which is why Ippon is no longer of interest to me anymore. Lady Osakabe, great for group fights, but in a usual one-on-one battle, I kind of have to work to use it. So it just feels a little strange. Yeah, Kashin Koji, it's fantastic to use. Fantastic soul core to use. There's many situations where she's great, and it's a great core. Would recommend you use it if you are struggling with lots of enemies or you just want a large stagger. But yeah. Yeah, it looks like JoJo's talking about some great ways to stun lock enemies. So, good key damage if you run Osakabe and Ippon or something similar. Yeah, you can just you can imagine going the yokai shift and you having all this possible stuns. You just stun an enemy, keep stunning an enemy over and over and over and over again. Oh, they're far away? Let me just stun them multiple times. Oh, they're close? Ippon, let me stun them real quick. I can do a charge attack, stun. You just non-stop stun. So you guys are talking about great ways to take advantage of these. So, alright. Next up is Bakigani. Bakigani is an effective core. Very good for water-based damage. Laser tracking. It is violently underrated. I would agree. If I was talking about like strictly meta, I would say like, guys, use Bakigani. It is so good. It is so good. But in raw like combat, when I'm really getting the heat of it, I find Bakigani to be disjointed. Maybe it's just the fact that I turn into a freaking crab that I don't like it, but I just have a bias against it for that reason. So Bakigani is not necessarily my first choice. What is this game with the crab laser? It does take a bit long to finish, but I think the pluses of Bakigani greatly negate any of the downsides to it. So yeah, really solid core. Next is Umen Yudo. I would actually put this on B+, maybe even A tier, but The reason it's in the B tier is because I pretty much only just use it as a damage nuke. Umenyudo is insane when it comes to damage. Confusion, you can saturate and confuse an enemy, so that's 70% extra damage. You throw it on a human, Zero can combo them, and you just like absolutely murder them. It is obscenely powerful. And so when I can kill with it, it feels really earned, and I do like using it. But it's again a damage-based thing. So for me, damage-based stuff usually goes down a peg. That's what it's about. But yeah, really fun core. Would encourage you guys to try this out and see if you can mix it into your gameplay. Next is White Tiger. White Tiger is very niche. It's the only default purity-based core. It's always purity. It has incredible range. I've talked about it in its respective guide, and I like it overall, but it has terrible tracking. Terrible tracking. If it targets to the side of you, you will not move. You are fixed in that long-ass animation for like 5 years. So that's why it's B. Tracking, or like it doesn't rotate. Like if it targets to the side of you, White Tiger is just going to keep... Yeah, it has tunnel vision. That's the best way to put it. Yes, it sometimes also misses people in front. And one of the worst feelings is when you commit to a long animation and it just whiffs the entire time. You're stuck in it, unless you have Yokai Shift or something else. But yeah. Right, Kitty and Cool Laser. It is a very interesting, like, hey, target super long range, just throw out White Tiger, you're all good. But yeah, I've used it against like Saito Toshimitsu. I showcase it in its respective Soul Core guide against Ashia Domon. And it works pretty well. It doesn't, like, who cares how far away a target is, you're still gonna hit them. I think that's pretty cool. But because of the downsides of it, it stays at B. Next up, Lightning Gods of Yomi. Very popular soul core for many, but for me, lightning as an element is a deterrent because it slows targets down. And that's really the major reason why. I love the gap closing aspect of it, but other soul cores do that better for me, in my opinion. I think this soul core is a very powerful one, very popular one for a great reason. A lightning gap closer does a good amount of damage. Yeah, I mean, and it's very fast. That's a good core. I don't think anyone's going to say this one's bad. If you say this one's bad, I don't know what you're talking about. It's a really good core, but the lightning deters me. Next is Yasha. Yeah, lightning is a double-edged sword for me, just like Sloth is. Now, I've done cheap stuff where it's like, put Sloth on, slow their movement speed, and do lightning at the same time. So, it gets kind of hilarious when a target cannot move. And then just to add insult and injury, just fart on them. And then let them enjoy the slow motion whiff. So, with Yasha, I like the water wave. I think it's pretty cool. But aside from the knockback ability on humans, I'm not too big on the water nuke. Yeah, she locks anima bones to water. It's a simple, effective ability. But for the knockback itself, I actually prefer other cores. And that's the thing I want you guys to keep in mind when I'm evaluating my own soul core tier list. Again, this is personal preference. These soul cores, in combination with all that they have together, are overall, all of them are pretty good for the most part. Except Nioh, for hitbox reasons. But Yasha as a complete package is very good. But the parts of the package I don't care for, basically, and then I look at the parts of the package that I do care for, I find that those parts that I do like, other soul cores hit that in a more satisfying way for me. So that's why Yasha is dropped down a notch. Next is Underworld Soldier. Interesting gap closer, interesting ability on some human targets. And there's some interesting combo based play I've found with it, so it goes in B tier. But truth be told, whenever I've used this, I'm honestly probably just using it for the passives. The anima bonus on grapple is obscene. 3 anima, that's like pretty awesome. So that's why it's in B tier. Fox Spirit, I would actually put this in A tier, except its recovery frames are a bit long. The reason I like the Soul Core, maybe I'll just showcase this to you guys more than anything else. Missing and running 10 miles away an underworld soldier sucks. Yeah, that is true. So I like the combo potential of it. Oh, I didn't even equip the right element. So yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, I like the combo potential with it, which is why it is there. Alright, next up is Kinky. I actually want to put this in A tier. I actually think it's an A tier worthy. Why? Because it is so hilarious to just mow targets down with Kinky and just roll over and smash on them. I think just how hilarious that is should put it in A tier. And I would actually swap that with Gozuki. Gozuki is effective, but Kinky is hilarious. But I think the original reason I put it in B tier is because Kinky is so much of a showstopper that I kind of forget to play the game. You straight up don't remember what Kinky does? Let me show you. Yeah, I haven't made the guide for this yet, so bear with. Just getting to New Game Plus 4 and I'm working on my build, so this is perfect. Alright, glad to hear it. Kinky works better on human guards. Namahage not so much. So yeah. I mean, this is just hilarious. Am I doing the tier list from bottom to top? Yep. So yeah, that's Kinky. So yeah, I might put that in A tier. Next up is Konaki Gigi. Konaki Gigi, very good soul core, really good against blocking human opponents. And the only reason it's not an A tier is because the range is a little too short for my liking. Like, you gotta be point blank range with it. So that's the only reason why it's not in a higher tier. Very good though. Fuki's an interesting one. Yeah, Konaki GG misses when it shouldn't. Konaki GG is just for when I'm not using a brute spirit. Nice thinking. Fuki is a very simple, effective. It's a great key damage bullet. I believe it does the same key damage as Ippon. So you want range key damage from Ippon format, use Fuki. One thing I'll show to you that I will highlight in my guide when I create it is that you can do an obscene amount of damage with Fuki. And let me see if I can show it to you on the stream today. Yes. Yes. It looks like Chad is talking about it. You get a headshot with Fuki. Oh my god. It is so good. And we're talking about Twisting Spear. Let's see if I can demonstrate it. So I'll give you base damage as a reference point. So 2475, right? Show that again. Yeah. Yeah. Oh wait, no, but streamer, you're hacking. There's no way it does that much damage. How do you get that consistently? Let me see if I can do photo mode. What's the... No, it's 32,000 damage. Damn it, I screwed that up that time. Yeah, so if you get a headshot on it, R1 and select. I think I disabled photo mode, so because I think I would accidentally activate it. Oh no, it's R. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So here, I'll show it to you. Okay. God damn it. Okay, so let's just watch this in slow-mo, right? What is it? Okay. So you can see that's the projectile, right? And you can see it's more or less going to hit the body, right? So 3977, right? Now let's see if this works in slow-mo. Do you see how his head just got hit? Boom. Ah, damn it, didn't work well. He needs to hit his head. But basically when you hit his head, it'll do the most damage. Does that work on human bosses too? Yes. I've done it. I've headshotted Mumio before. I've legit just headshotted Mumio. Isn't this easier to show with fist grapple? Let me try with Tonfa grapple. Damn it. I'm not the most consistent with it, but I think you guys get the idea. Is it the Tonfa grapple timing is a bit more finicky than the Tonfa charge attack for headshotting? Is it? Or that. He lunges forward and I get the shot. So yeah. But I think you guys get the idea. I'm not gonna focus too much on Fuki right now. But yeah. So there's a lot of setup required. But you can get a massive damage headshot with Fuki, so it's hilarious. It does do a lot of damage on weak spots. It's very effective, and it's fun. But for the most part, I don't really rely upon the damage thing. I'm just looking for the key damage bullet, which is good for, but I'm not too reliant on that. I've kind of already talked about Suiki. Their tornado animation is just, it's an effective soul core. I'm just not interested in it. So that's why it's B tier. Nightmare Bringer, I love the animation itself. I love how the tornadoes go around you. I think it's great for groups, all sorts of things. But truth be told, that in of itself is, and the confusion is not that entertaining to me. It's 10 anima, it looks badass, you can sequence it with all sorts of things, but in practical combat terms, I don't find myself really leaning on that whatsoever. It's more like, hey, I just want to nuke something to death. Let me use Nightmare Bringer with my corruption build and destroy it. And that will work. Absolutely. It's super good for that. But I want to destroy people by humiliating them. So that takes a different turn altogether. Okay. Any questions on anything in B tier? I know that was the most to cover. Do the stats on the soul cores factor in the tier placement, or is it just the abilities? Just the abilities. Broccoli more favored than Housewife, even though both are AoE-based daggers. Which one is Broccoli? Is Broccoli Daidara Bochi? Getting blinded by Nightmare Bringer's core and co-op is the most obnoxious thing ever. Yeah. Yes, Ippon is on B, but remember, Unbelievable Goblin, that this soul core tier list is not based on meta. And honestly, even on meta, I don't even think Ippon is as amazing as people think it is. But this is based on personal enjoyment. And I will say one of the worst feelings with Ippon is to miss with it. If you miss with Ippon, it just feels bad. Because they're like right there. And you're like, dude, Ippon, how do you miss? But yeah, even as a soul core, like Ippon, the reason people like Ippon is not because of the fire pool, none of that stuff. It's because, oh my gosh, I can spam the stun and keep a boss stun lock forever. And then I'll usually say, I'm like, well, bro, if you can spam 7 anima non-stop without a care in the world, I think the fact that you can spam 7 anima is the bigger thing. But like, if you're playing the game and there's like many other options that I personally prefer that either use less anima or are just, for me, better. I'm not dependent upon the stun anymore. I'm like, I can do so much other shit. So for me, like, I don't even think Ippon is S tier for meta. I'm like, it's good. It's a good core, but like, I could do so many other things. So, all right. So let's get to A tier now. As I talked about, Gozuki I actually would swap it with Kinky. Kinky is just way too hilarious for me not to put in A tier, and Gozuki I would actually put in B tier. But the reason I had Gozuki in A tier is because There is like no downside to it. It is good damage, great stun, great gap closer, and it is kind of hilarious to just knock targets over. Incredibly effective boss core. So yeah, it doesn't miss, unlike Ippon, which does miss. And when Ippon misses, it feels so bad. So that's why Gozaki is there. Nurikabe I like because it is one of the most flexible soul cores in the game. I don't know, sometimes Gozaki can miss. I mean, any soul core can miss, but in percentage-wise, it is very exceedingly rare for Gozaki to miss. Exceedingly rare. But with Nurikabe, yes, it's very spammable. You have the 2 anima option, the 4 anima option, the 6 anima option. So you have that great degree of flexibility, and you can mess around with things as you would like. I also find it incredibly satisfying to just, when you go for the 6 anima version, to just like smash a target down. Does a great amount of key damage, a good amount of damage in general. And like, dude, slapping somebody silly feels so good. Doesn't matter if they're blocking. Nurikabe will shred them. I love it. It's so disrespectful. And the sound effects that it makes during the ability, I mean, heck, why don't I just show this? And when you do use it, it just... it just feels good to use. I feel very aggressive when using it. Yeah, you bash through a block with it. You're like, oh, you're blocking? Oh, that's cute. That's really cute. Go ahead and block. You are going to, like, absolutely suffer. Yeah, Nurikabe, like, is so fun. It's just, it's funny. Yeah, that's cute. You tried to block, bro. He tried to block. He's like, oh, I can block this. Nope. Let's see how it works with Brute. I'm curious. It's so disrespectful. How do you change the amount of hits on Nurikabe? So what you do is you just mash the yokai ability multiple times. So if you press once, you'll just do 1. But if you press it twice in quick succession, so I'm pressing R2 and then triangle, triangle. And then triangle, you just, so 1. So I just hit it multiple times. After the first hit of Nurikabe, you can switch Guardian Spirits. Oh, can you? I want to try that. Looks like I can switch it if I target it, right? Looks like I need some fancy fingers to do that. But yeah, it's pretty fun. That's why I like Nurikabe. Next is Waira. Waira is one of those disappear abilities, and I used to think it wasn't that great until I tried hitting enemies with the full hitbox of it. And it is surprisingly powerful, and it's really fun to use it against human enemies when they're locked in an animation, and all of a sudden you just like creep up on them and then hit them a bunch of times. It's very satisfying. And when you can knock them up with it too, ooh, feels really good. So I like Waira. Kama Itachi, this to me, just beware of possible grabs. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Kama Itachi, I enjoy more than Yatsu no Kami. And I think the reason for that is because, is simply because Kamitachi just feels lightning fast. It's like I would say a safer version compared to Yatsu no Kami, because Yatsu no Kami like depends upon whether it targets by a wall, you may only hit with it once, in which case then it feels bad. But Kame Itachi will hit with all 3 of them. And so it feels lightning fast with certain combos. You're just chucking a bunch of Beyblades at people and it feels pretty good. So that's why I like it. Oh, no, let me tell you, it's 3 flying ferrets. You can get 3. It's only 2 if you don't wait for the animation to play out in full. It's a very slight timing difference, but it's 3 ferrets. So if it's only been 2 for you, you've been missing out on some damage. Yeah, here, I'll show you. I'll show it to you just so, just for your proof. All right, so normally people will like launch Kame Itachi and see, and then they'll like move right away, and you'll get 2. But if I just hold still for a moment, here. So here, let's slow this down. See the 3rd one coming in? Yep, just wait a little bit, and you'll get 3. Yep. 1. You can see 1 over here on the left, 1 over there on the right, and 1 back there. And let's show you with some damage numbers. So 2, right? And 3. Yep, and now, yeah, so you just have to wait. So I usually like to wait until I see the 3rd one spawn in. And time it with that. I just AFK until the 3rd one comes out. Or as Farseer says, just wait for the roar. Yep, and now you know. So yeah, then it feels pretty good now, right? Now you're like, whoa. There's a bit of a damage difference. Cool. Yep. That's what I'm all about, trying to show you guys how to take advantage of stuff. So that's Kame Itachi. Next up is Onryoki. I think Onryoki is one of the strongest cores in the game, personally speaking. Both for its passives and its ability. So if you put Life Drain Yokai ability hit on this, so some others in chat have talked about like get Kasha for the stats, and then if you are surrounded by a bunch of targets, throw Onryoki, just use it around, and then you'll hit everything, regain a ton of life. And what's nice is that you get a lot of damage reduction natively from the Soul Core just using it. And so you can get a ton of health back and do a great amount of damage. I think it hits like 4 times, and it's a really quick animation, very strong. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's really good. If I had to choose between this and Kasha, I'm using Onryoki. Easily. Very powerful core. Not one to be underestimated. So yeah, I'm surprised at how effective it is. And plus, it's just satisfying to just smash people around you. Farseer, what are we talking about? Wait, what? I guess Kame Itachi is a little better than Gaki then? Oh, come on. Yeah, that's right, with Onryoki. Plus defense and yokai ability hit. Anima on damage taken, solid tank core. Yes, it is a very, very good tank core. It's really good. That's all I'll say about that. Next up is Gyuki. Gyuki isn't the strongest core, but it's very satisfying for me to use. And let me showcase it. For me, it's incredibly satisfying. Yeah, the chomp chomp. Love to hear it. If you can do it, I've comboed with it in such a way so that you can, let's see if I can get him to block. Block. Stuff like that, and pushes the enemy right towards me. So that can be really satisfying. So I like that quite a bit. Plus, it just broke that. And then I'll just show you a personal favorite combo of mine. Alright, and then let me just show you a aesthetically pleasing one. Ah, damn it. You know what's nice? Hyobishin with Gyuki. Legit looks like it's coming out of hell. We're working from F to S. Let's show it in slow-mo, ladies and gentlemen. Oof. Pretty neat, huh? So yeah, that's why I like Yuki. Because there's just so much swag, so much style with it. It's really fun for me for that reason. Okay, next up from Yuki. Will I make a Guardian Spirit tier list too? Maybe. I'll see if you guys really want it, the community wants it at large, I'll go for it. Alright, next up is Ryomen Sukuna. This is actually one of the few damage-based cores I actually really like. And I think the reason for it is because it's satisfying to just shred an enemy and confuse them really fast, and then the recovery frames are practically non-existent. So it's a seamless flow when it comes to the animation. So it's like, you just slice something up, confuse them, and then it just feels ridiculously strong. But I think the way in which it feels strong feels satisfying. So yeah, that's what I would say. That's why I like it. It's one of the few ones that I feel satisfied with. And it's similar to Umen Yudo, but it's just fast. So I'm like, okay, I like quick animation. It feels like a combo extension. I'll roll with it. Sukuna on a human after the Turtle Guardian Spirit juggle? Yeah! It's fast and moves you forward. Yep, you guys are touching on why I like it. Alright, next up is Daidara Bochi. So I prefer this one over Lady Osakabe simply because the animation speed of this is fast. Let me show you. Add Tsuchigumo and they can't move. I'm liking the combo direction you guys are going with. Genbu Jungle? Yeah, you guys are talking about it. Let's go. Kinda neat, huh? Yeah, the condition isn't based on a single hit, so I think I showcased this in the guide video, but look how quickly, so I'm gonna hold block, right? Look how quickly my character will block. Well before the animation is done. So it flows very, very seamlessly. So yeah, that's why I like it. See if I can combo a little more with it. Oh, I could have done something even better. I'm gonna try it again. Well, let me see if I can... Okay, I'm gonna try one more thing with it. Ah, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Wow, it didn't work. I was hoping to hit the laser. Oh well. I was hoping to hit the laser mid Azuna drop. Yeah, I wanted to see if I could Azuna drop and have the laser hit, but I guess they're separate animations. Just a curiosity of mine. But yeah, that's why I like Daidara. Yeah, dunking him into the laser would have been cool. Yeah, you see what I was trying to do. Speaking of Genbu, can't you hit launch enemies while they're falling down with Daidara? I believe you can. Azuna drop into... Oh, you're talking about the Azuna drop cancels. Yeah. Yeah. Now, yeah, that is awesome. That is... Now we're talking. Okay. Next up is karaoke. I like karaoke far more than I realized. Originally, it would have been a B tier because it just seems so standard and you can use it for all purpose. But then I realized that there's more utility I can gain out of it, even when it doesn't hit. And so I tried this against bosses like Ren Hayabusa. And right, Farseer's touched on it. Even if they don't take damage, they get pushed away, which means I can control positioning. So I can push a target away. It has multi-hit, it has a great amount of range, it's a fast animation, there's no downsides to it. So it's just like a staple combo user. It's just like combo ability to just use in my gameplay. If the target's too close, push them away. Or if I want to set things up, push them away as hell. Push them away as well. The vertical hitbox is high, right? It's just a solid core to use in combo-based play no matter what. And so, yeah, it was very interesting. Right, you can use it for Ren Hayabusa jumping. You can use it to push them away when... Like, think about bosses like Nobunaga, right? If you understand when they're going to counterattack, push them away. Who gives a shit? Just push them away. There you go. And then they can't hit you. Right, and it looks like Pain, you've talked about it. You pair it with Itokuri, and you have a paralysis shockwave. Yeah, it looks like Karaoke into Deadly Mark. Yes, yes, into some kind of pre-swap move is so satisfying. Yes. Love that. I love that creativity. That's the type of shit I'm talking about. I'm not poofy. Make a guide on with the help of Nioh 2 to find a girlfriend. I mean, I think they're totally different dimensions, bro. Karaoke also has great tracking to pull an instant 180 for moves like Water Drop. Yes. Yes. But I love that creativity. When you guys start to think of stuff like this about like how you can kind of negate the downsides of certain moves, I think it's fantastic. And then all of a sudden it opens up like moves that you thought were previously unsafe. Now you found something to work around it, and it's pretty good. And I think the community has done a great job of this with some of the abilities already, like Reverse Impact, which I'll showcase when I get to S tier. But yeah, fantastic. Hatchet is so nice for that. I know. Bingo. Next up is Oboro Guruma. I like this soul core a lot. It is a fantastic anti-human core, period. You push yourself back. You apply corruption. It does a surprising amount of break damage against humans that block. For the girlfriend, show her your rare collection of staffs. Tell her you beat the depths with 3 Gaki cores. If she's not impressed, she's not the one. Okay. So yeah, I like the cart. Very effective for 4 anima. I think for me, the reason I have it in A tier is because of those properties I discussed, and because it creates distance automatically. It's a bit of a longer animation, but it creates that distance, which can help quite a bit. And I like that aspect. It just adds an interesting dimension of play. I might, truth be told, put this at A- because I find that Karaoke is more like aggressive, whereas Oboro Guruma feels more defensive. You call it miscarriage? Nice. When will I become community manager of Nioh 3? I will not. That is Master, who's been managing the community for a long time. He's done a fantastic job of it. A lot of work. Don't envy the guy. But yeah, he'll be doing that. Where's White Tiger? White Tiger is down here. Down in B tier. I like the Michael Jackson moonwalking backwards. Nice. All right, next up is Tate Eboshi. Tate Eboshi is a very satisfying soul core. Is Nioh 3 even happening? Not that I know of. Right, the card sometimes drags enemies with you when you're on top of them. Right, you're starting to touch on some other aspects why I have it in A tier, as opposed to like having it as a staple. But with Tate Eboshi, for example, very satisfying soul core, but you have to understand how to use it well. Otherwise, I'd put it in S tier. Incredibly powerful, great for group fights. It is a great finisher. Great way to sequence into Yokai Shift as well. But you have to make sure you start with some distance. If you're too close to a target, the final hit will not work well. But yeah, that's a big problem. I actually like using this against Ancient Nyotengu after a burst counter because she goes far away enough back, and then she likes to dodge back after that, and then Tate Eboshi just like hits her every time. It's super effective. And I'll showcase that in its respective soul core guide. But yeah, very satisfying one. Last but not least in A tier is Ongyoki. Ongyoki, I like the whole escape aspect, the whole stealth aspect with it. No, it's not S tier. It's a fun core, but like for me, a lot of the escape-based, defensive-based cores I don't put in S tier for the most part. I like my S tier cores to be very offensive in nature. So yeah, it also turns off the AI. The core is very effective. Great stealth mechanic with it. Overall low anima cost if you just stay still. I'll showcase this against Tsuchigumo to show how extra effective it can be for like those weird auto combat situations. You're right, Farseer, it is very good for Yoshitsune as well. But for me, right, and as Ace puts it, offense is the best defense for me. So more offensive the core, the more likely I am to put it in S tier. So that's that. All right, before I move on to S tier, do you guys have any questions for anything in the A tier? Okay, so since there are no questions, let's talk about S tier. So some of you might be wondering, hey, why is Yoki in S tier rather than Ippon? And you might be like, dude, the Yoki stun sucks. Why don't I just show you why? Ongyoki versus Waira, what's my condition for counterplay? I personally prefer Waira over Ongyoki. Waira feels a little bit more badass, all things considered. While Ongyoki is just safer. If I want to be more offensive, Waira. If I want to be more defensive, Ongyoki. Okay, you tell me which one's more satisfying to get the hit off on. Okay, 4,000 damage. Double the damage. Nice. That's pretty much why. If a target's like, oh hey, I'm gonna dodge, Yoki's like, nope. Here, let me also just combo sequence with Yoki. I'll combo with Ippon and combo with Yoki, and you tell me which one seems more fun. Ah! Oh, that hurts. You fool, clearly Yoki into Ippon. Oh, you dodged. So yeah, here, you can compare the difference in the combos now. Oof. It's just a big meaty hit, so I prefer Yoki easily. So yeah, for me, Yoki is just ultimately much more satisfactory. Key damage on Yoki isn't that strong, but it's just a big meaty hit. Feels very satisfying. Why is Yoki so highly sought after on a human boss when Baby Namahage grapple takes away the curse without getting them in 0 key? Dude, I don't know. Okay, next up is Mezuki. Mezuki is S tier because it is so immensely satisfying to hit someone with the cleave. It is so immensely satisfying to hit a group of enemies with the cleave. It has an incredible amount of range. Dude, when you hit with that cleave, especially at the sweet spot, it feels so good. Just big ol' like cleaver sword smash through everything. Finally, a question he can't answer. Why is Yoki Stagger so highly sought after on a human boss? Because, Pain, you're asking a subjective question. Because when it comes to Baby Namahage grapple, the curse nullification And why people prefer that over the Yoki Stagger, because probably people prefer Stagger. That would be my guess. But with Meizaki, yeah, it's just big satisfactory cleaver. It's, oh, a target's dodging away? That's psych, cleave. Super fun. I love it every time. When you get that hit, it feels earned. It feels so earned. So that's why I really like Meizaki. It may be slow, but oh well. I don't mind. All right, next up is Dweller. You may wonder, why is Dweller in S tier? Yeah, especially when Saito decides not to dodge Meizaki. I know, right? He'll dodge anything. So Dweller, this is one of those soul cores that was introduced to me from the YouTuber Kagera Simaru. And I like this a lot. There's a lot of things that go into this. One, it's a freaking Dweller. It is hilarious. Dude, you have a Dweller with a pickaxe. It's just like ultra disrespect to set up certain combos. And it's 3 hits, and it's enough stagger to pull off moves, just like you guys are saying, like limitless. It's super fun. You replace Dweller with Fox because you prefer Fox's cuteness. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about that combo with Dweller that you guys are now referencing. Let's go get me a Dweller. Yes, it's S tier comedy. It is complete disrespect. And it's surprisingly effective too. The anima gain on grapple is great for a fresh start. Not bad. It's not bad, right? Or we could even use it with Axe. Use a pickaxe for the real Dweller gang. Not bad, right? Yeah, let me try to eliminate P from an enemy. Lead its key. Oh, I didn't want to destroy all of the key. This is always nice. Stuff like that. Right. Dweller's main strength comes from what you do along with it rather than what it does alone. I would agree. See, that's pretty decent. That's not bad. So that's one of the reasons why I like Dweller. There's a lot of combo potential with it. He is the perfect buddy to go clubbing with. But yeah, just to give you that little animation time to set things up with. Makes it quite a lot of fun. Does it spawn anything other than rocks when you use it? I've gotten Tamahagenes before. It'll sometimes give you decent crafting materials, but it's pretty rare. Unrelated to soul cores, I only recently learned you can absorb Amrita with R1, R2 to extend Yokai Shift. Yes, you can. Yep, can spawn whetstones too. But alright, so that's Dweller. Next up is Magatsu Warrior. This one just feels badass for me to pull off, regardless of the enemy. You have the 6 anima version and the 9 anima version, and I pretty much always go for the 9 anima version. Because it's just like non-stop slicing and dicing for ages. And if it's a human enemy, bro, get close range and just smash them to bits with this. You can also juggle with this soul core. It's great against enemies out of key. You can 0-key combo them to death. It has range. It is so flexible that the whole like staying locked in an animation is completely negated. It is awesome for that reason. Right, and if you have things like life recovery on Amrita absorption or any Amrita bonuses, Magatsu is amazing. So here's an example of a pairing you could do. Right, looks like JoJo's already touched on it. Shuten Doji, Magatsu Warrior, boom. It's just insane. You get like a free HP refill. It is ridiculous. Super powerful core. Lots of key damage. Just overall very powerful and feel good the entire time. So it's easily in the S rank for me. Next up is Seto Taisho. Seto Taisho, I actually prefer to use this over Ippon any day. Because Seto Taisho does so many things that Ippon just cannot. So with Seto Taisho, this actually might be easiest to showcase in a mission. So let me do that real quick for you guys. But yes, it is basically get down, Mr. President. So, I'll just refer to him as Benkei, but Benkei can block for you, and he can block projectiles, block cannons, block fireballs. He blocks so many things. And you can combo alongside him. So, I'll show it against Niotengu very briefly, and then go back to the dojo. Just because I want to showcase more things and talk about things there. Yeah, and he's only 6 anima. Yeah, I know. Blocked. Body blocked, bro. So yeah, pretty cool, huh? It's only 6 anima too. Kinda neat, huh? See that? It blocked it right in time. Man, this is taking a while. Oh. Jeez. Oh, I'm not dying now. Close enough, but you hopefully I've showed Benkei enough. Here, and one thing I'll also show to you when I activate it is I want you to pay attention to how huge the stomp is going to be. Do you see how huge that shockwave is? It just hits all of that. That's a lot. So because it has that range, come on, I don't want to pick anything up. So yeah, great for crowd control, can block all sorts of projectiles, and its combo potential without being too spammy. Feels great to use. Alright, back into the dojo we go. So yeah, hopefully that fight showcased, like, yeah, and you guys are talking about other great ways that you can take advantage of Benkei. Clearing out those annoying Oni beasts, for example. other things like that. So right, that's why I put Benkei in S tier. I never feel bad using it. The only times I get annoyed are when certain enemies avoid it, like Saito Toshimitsu, but he just avoids like anything. But yeah, very satisfying to use. Next is Giant Toad, which I imagine is a very interesting one to put up here. The reason for this, in all honesty, is just because it is freaking hilarious to get maximum power out of this. And the way to do that is when an enemy is basically out of ki. It is like a 5 to 6 second animation, which is atrociously long in this game. But when you can pull it off, it is hilarious. I've legit used Giant Toad against enemies like Ren Hayabusa to like batshit insane 0-ki combo, and it's just hilarious to be able to pull it off. It is so slow, right? And you guys have great combos. You pair the Toad with the Guardian Monkey, the Monkey Guardian Spirit. It's hilarious. You just throw out Giant Toad, and you just don't give a shit, and you like do a ton of ki damage. All right, and it's like 7 anima, and it is just obscene. It is ridiculous. It is just so hilarious. Yeah, it's a very, very, very powerful core. It is slow though. But if you can circumnavigate the slow animation, it is hilarious to pull off. All right. It is just silly. Oh, and if you put like purity on an enemy or corruption, and then and yokai is out of ki, and you just chuck in one Giant Toad, it's like, okay, nice ki you have there. It'd be a shame if I reduced it all the way to 0. So, yeah, if you want to down a yokai, take them from red ki to no ki, use it. If you want to troll a human enemy and just Giant Toad all over them, just use Giant Toad. It's just such a meme. And when I can pull it off, and when I can get away with using it to destroy an enemy, it is just so sweet. So for me, in terms of enjoyment and being able to make it work, it is S tier for that reason. I enjoy it that much. That's all I gotta say about that. Now, are there obvious downsides? Yeah, it has issues, it has tracking issues, but honestly, that is so secondary compared to just being able to get it, like, to be able to use it well. It's one of those underestimated ones. But yes, I've used it against Ren Hayabusa, I've used it against ancient Niotengu, and like, when you know when to use it, it is super good. But if you don't know how to use it, it's going to feel trash. If you just like toss it willy-nilly against an enemy, you're going to be like, what? I'm stuck here for 5 animations and I died during the animation. It's like, well, then don't use it at that moment. So that's my thinking on that. Last two, I'm going to actually showcase Ancient Nyotengu. I'm going to skip her and get to Itsumade. Itsumade is actually the one damage-based core. Right, you guys are talking about Giant Toad. Yeah, the downsides make it even more satisfying to pull it off and use it to its full potential. So I'm going to leave Ancient Niotengu for a moment, and I'll showcase it. I will showcase it in the battle to talk about why I like it. Itsumade, it is such a great anti-yokai soul core. Straight up. You can explode yokai with it. The more enemy yokai pools that you have, the more damage you will deal. And you just blow them up. So certain enemies, like Nioh, which I will showcase again when I make... Yeah, Itsumade plus yokai water pots, or you can pair it with Tatara Moke, which won't give you as much damage. And I'll explain that in the guide. But if you detonate enemy yokai pools, you will do a tremendous amount of damage. I think I've done like 30... I've like nuked 30% of Nioh's health with one use of Itsumade before. Because he spawns a ton of yokai pools, and then you get the yokai ability focus, so the 40% damage boost. And then you just explode him. It's hilarious. It is For me, when I get damage with this, it feels earned. So I love detonating things with this. So fun. All the downsides about it, no big deal. Right. Oh, you replenish your key? Anti-yokai mine activated. Exactly. Even one enemy yokai pool makes this powerful. Imagine several. And some enemies do put out several. So you can destroy them crazily. So the 8 anima nuke is literally a nuke. So that's why I love that. Alright, last but not least, Ancient Niotengu. Instead of me talking about why it's great, I'm going to show you. If you can quick draw Itsumade, does it counter Itsumade? Yes. 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 It 100% counters him. And I've blown him up with it. And it is as satisfying as you would expect it to be. And you can time it and you can make it all proper. And when you blow him up, it feels so satisfying. That's right. When I make the guide, I will be making it against Saito Toshimitsu. Kind of give you a preview of it right now. But it'll take me some time to showcase it in action. Oh, you swine. Should I use split staff? Probably not. Let me use sword. I'll beat him, but I just getting a little winded. Oh, really? Yukuku's called? This is such a jerk move. Why are you... God, man, you're so irritating. Yeah, it didn't work the best, but I think you guys get it. No, you don't. Probably not. Oh, I didn't get to do the combo. But you got to see how quickly his ki depleted. Ooh, bro. Stop dodging, man. He keeps dodging. Man, why do you... Gosh. Dude, why do you evade? It's so irritating. Okay, will this work? Thank you. That's what I wanted to do. But I think you guys see the key deletion, it has 20 blocks, right? Nope, I'm just leaving. But yeah, so the big thing with us... Yeah, he died from a heart attack. He got poisoned. You deserve that. So the thing with Ancient Niotengu is basically that she deletes ki from any enemies that block. So that's the big appeal to it. So yeah, that's all the soul cores and my reasoning for all of them. That took a very long time. Oh shit. Right, not all of them need to land. I didn't use it in the most effective way, like in the best possible way. I could have obviously made better uses, but like I'm not so focused on gameplay today either. So I haven't really gotten myself in the zone. But right. So Ancient Niotengu, excellent key deletion against anyone who blocks. It's like Dweller in that respect, but as you saw, it just gets crazy. I've had it connect so that after I do a grapple with the hatchets, I throw Ancient Niotengu, and then I do the fancy hatchet cancel stuff. And then it's just nonstop combos. And you're like, whoa, he blocks, he dies. So yeah, that's pretty much everything in S tier. I've covered all of it. Dude, that was almost 3 hours. I thought it would only take 2. But yeah, lots of in-depth information. Any questions on anything in S tier before I wrap this up? Gaki will always be S tier in my heart. Having a little crazy frog looking dude in my back pocket is enough for me to always perform flawlessly without even having to use him. You know what? You do you. Your back state of play is ass. Oh, is it? Okay. Why isn't there an SS tier just for Dweller? On hindsight, I should have done that. In hindsight, I should have created a G tier for Gaki for absolute garbage. Right, you guys are also talking about other things related to Ancient Niotengu. She's really great against humans, like superb against blocking humans. But she's still good against yokai too, for draining lots of ki. So why is Frog X? To put it simply, pulling it off well is that much more satisfying because of all the downsides with it. Can I do the same but for Onmyo Magic? Zombie dragon breaks your spirit. Farseer. That's just mean. Onmyo Magic I don't have as much proficiency with. I can talk about it briefly on certain things I'd recommend, but I don't use Onmyo Magic that much. That's the honest truth. That's pretty much it. But yeah, so I've covered all the tiers. Do you guys have any questions over any of the soul cores? Anything you might want to see before I take off? The wall dude is almost S. I know. He's a really good one. But I just find some of the other ones just more satisfying. You're going to upload it. I arrived late. This entire stream will be available to the public once I end the stream anyway. Because on the channel, you can just go to live. What is that first soul core in S? This is Yoki. Does the position of any of these change with imbue element? I have considered, when I'm evaluating these soul cores, I'm considering everything. I'm including buffs. I'm including possible build combinations. Oh, why is Yoki so good? So for me, just to be clear, this soul core tier list is based not on like meta things. It's based on what I enjoy the most. How is Yoki versus Yokai? Pretty good. It's a good amount of damage. It's not the most key damage compared to like Ippon. What does the big ninja frog do? But yeah, so this tier list isn't like here's the meta. It's about what does the streamer enjoy? And these ones I enjoy a lot. Right, and you guys are thinking of, and I love some of the stuff you guys are saying in chat, because you guys are talking about like really cool combinations of shit. And that was partially the point of the stream, for you guys to explore that creative side. Because yeah, paralyzing an enemy with Nureona, for example, and then point blank rifle headshot is just hilarious. Right? So these are the things that I enjoy for various reasons. So mess around with it. Giant Toad is basically like a huge amount of damage, huge amount of key damage. The downside is the animation is atrociously long. It's like several seconds, so you're locked in an animation, it doesn't always hit. But when it works well, it works beautifully well. And it's kind of funny to like nail Giant Toad off in situations you can kind of get away with it. I've used it paired with Life Drain Yokai ability hit, and it's kind of funny. Right. Ipon is a very simple core. You know, it's just a simple stun. And it works. It works really well. It's very fast. It's not a bad core by any means. If anyone tells you it's a bad core, I'm going to be like, dude, what are you talking about? It's a really good core. Now, I will also say, and this is my opinion, I don't think Ipon is like the best thing ever. I'm like, nah, like, I think like the stun's great, but do you know what feels bad with Ipon? Missing. Missing feels so bad. And what can happen, at least in my experience for me, is that I've become overly reliant upon its stun and negated other ways to play. And then I get too dependent upon it, and then I suck. Whereas soul cores like Yoki, you have to pay a little bit more attention to. And when I nail Yoki, it feels great. Hoofer probably loves Jiraiya. He was a cool character in Naruto. Yeah. But yeah, these are the ones I enjoy the most. These are the ones I enjoy the least overall. And I talked about that throughout the stream. So that's that. But dude, I'm kind of hungry. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I want some food. Gotta feed the cats too. You guys have any last minute questions before I dip out? You want me to show anything real quick before I go? I can do that. What are the last two in S tier? This is Ancient Niotengu. This is Itsumade, both from DLC 3. You'll rewind and watch Opinion on the Flaming Wheel. Oh, the Wheel Monk for C tier, yeah. I'll put in timestamps so at least these are separated. But I'll spare you some time, Brian. I like this core a lot, but I wish the turning radius was better. But all right, let's see. That's really it. And again, just to be clear to anybody watching this, it doesn't mean these soul cores are bad per se. Like Nioh is an exception. New Peppo is obviously a good core for many players. It fits in with a lot of builds, just not for mine. Tsuchigomo is a great one. Yomi is a good one. Like I'm not. The only like bad cores I would say are, in all seriousness, are like Biwa Boku Boku and like Nioh. Which ones do I like to build up confusion? Omen Yudo, 100% Ryomen. Ryomen Sukuna. That feels satisfying to me. But all right. I guess let's finish off the stream with, are you planning on doing other tier lists? It depends on what there would be tier lists for. Like weapons, I can again just say which weapons I like. But I don't know. To be honest, the weapons isn't something I'm too big on. But if you guys find some value in like understanding certain weapons, or maybe get some information out of them. Oh, okay, Super Saiyan. But if there's like more valuable information, more creativity I can give to you from those weapons, then yeah. Enemy tier list? Okay, that might be something more interesting too. But yeah, let's finish off the stream with, I'm going to finish off the stream with a fight. No, I have not done a weapon tier list. Fight the owl? Bro, no. All animals are evolving to be crustaceans. Why should I fight the owl? Fight Nioh since I think he's ass? You know what? Fine. You know what? Fine. You know what? I'll give you a preview. You guys want Nioh so badly? Alright, here we go. I do have it, right? Find Hanzo in the dojo, dream of the Nioh. Oh, this is gonna be destructive. Even better, fight him in the Dijitsu dojo mission. Really? Look at all that heal. Alright, Itsumade, do your thing. Just so much. Yeah, I'm just buffing because I want to make sure I actually win. I just want to show Nioh. I want to just blow up Nioh. I just have extraction on. Save myself some time. Full health? Nice. And destroy a lot of ki. That did not work. Oh, it actually did a decent amount of damage. What am I talking about? Go, Benkei, go! Kill them both. You get to see damage numbers too. Okay, let's see how much you do. Do you see that? This is purple. Keep that in mind. Come on. Alright, I want to do the yokai pools. Come here. This is so crazy. Single yokai realm. Come here. I'm gonna let it do all the explodies. More. More. I know you want more. Yes. All right. Just stay right here. Yes. Don't move, don't move, don't move. Ooh, this will be fun. Okay, right here, right here, right here. Oh, I unfortunately didn't get to show the damage based off on it because the pools. I'll have to. Let me showcase just the damage numbers again because it didn't showcase properly. It didn't. But you got to see how much it exploded. I forget that it considers it damage based from other sources. Yeah, dude got vaporized, and that's without confusion. Imagine 70% extra damage. Because it throw. Okay, I don't need damage self, we'll just have damage display others. Okay, let's see how much Itsumade will do with just one. Please show me. Dude! Look at that! Not bad, right? Alright, so let's try this again. Okay, 12k, not bad, huh? See it? Alright, we are not gonna, I'm gonna wait for the prime opportune moment. Ah, damn it. Get him back in the dark realm. Alright, what you got? Good, okay. I know you want to. Okay. Okay, we need you to do more rolls. Good. Come on, more rolling. Good, 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 good. Just a little more. Oh well, I just gotta detonate now. So, okay, now you got to see 12,000 per pool, right? Come on, I know you want to do it. So 12,000 per pool. The more, the better. Come on, one more time. Okay, fine. So yeah. Kind of crazy now, right? Ugh. Yep, so that's Itsumade. That's why I enjoy using Itsumade a lot. Itsumade versus Nioh. More like hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby. Right? Yeah. Yeah, it would be. Alright, last thing and then I'm out. Right, you can purify the yokai realm for more Animor or just nuke them. I know. He got me good. I didn't have anima either. That sucks. Ah, damn it. Oh, the shuriken! Yeah, he does the shuriken cancel. Oh crap, that was the wrong dodge timing. What do I think are some underrated ninjutsus or magic? Oh, I'm gonna have to rack my brain for that. I think the Flame Dragon Scroll is underrated. Ah, mistimed it. Shockwave, yeah, Shockwave is a good one. What is going on? Ah. I'll take that.
さすがだ。
Yeah, the fight was certainly at a razor's edge. Sword of Meditation, let's go. Ren couldn't cut it though. No, he could not. Alright, I'm gonna dip out, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Of course. This stream will of course be available to anybody to rewatch. I'll focus on like timestamping it and whatnot. So if you guys want to like revisit certain parts, it should be a bit easier. So yeah, no, I'm happy to do this. Happy to help you guys basically embrace more creativity with the game. So yeah, I will see you guys later.